Okay, I have the Zenduo Evo by Fidget HQ here in Tungsten. Of course, the first thing I had to know about it was how much it weighed. And I got it at 164 grams, which for something this size is amazing. So I'm hoping it gets good spin times. Let's take a peek under the hood, see what we've got for a bearing. I think Fidget HQ has their own bearings they use, or at least call them their own. Come on, little stinker. And I'm gonna drop it. There we go. It's off. So we have a press fit bearing. It's hard to see exactly what kind of bearing that is. Let me see if I can get a closer look at it. Okay, so it's a ceramic hybrid with the black balls. And this, it's imprinted right on here. It's serial number 3. So somehow I got the third one of these they released. I can't remember exactly how I got this. I'm pretty sure I bought it off of somebody on eBay, and the little card that comes with it says serial number 3. So it's the third one. Pretty early in the run. And it's got that laser engraved right on there too, an 03. I don't know if you can see that. But of course the interesting thing about this one is going to be how well it tests for spin time. How well does it play? Not bad, but a lot of people are going to object to how heavy it is. You can't get it going really fast with your fingers. But it's not bothering me much. 164 grams. Yeah. You can get it moving a bit. The air hose is going to get it moving a lot more. So we can see what kind of potential this thing has. I get a lot of people pointing out that using my air hose is not realistic, like you would do using your hand, like you would have it using your hands. I'm aware of that, but what I'm trying to look for is the potential of the spinner. What can it really do if you put a lot of air on it? And then the other reason I do it is because I can have a consistent amount of energy applied to different spinners and therefore make somewhat valid comparisons between spinners. Can't do that if you're doing it with your hands because it's going to be different every time. But and the technique isn't perfect by any means, but it gets us a little bit more consistency and it'll tell you a little bit about what's the potential of the fidget spinner rather than just what one particular person happens to be spinning it at. So I know you're not going to get the kind of spin times with your fingers that I get with the air hose, but it's still useful information, I think. So let's go ahead and test this one out, and we'll be back. Okay, I finally got done testing the Zenduo Evo by Fidget HQ in Tungsten, and it was quite a process. I'll tell you about how it went. The first spin I did with this one was a vertical spin, and it lasted for 20 minutes and 6 seconds, which is by far the longest spin I've ever got. The problem is that the second spin was 17 minutes and 34 seconds. That was a vertical spin again. Then I went to test it horizontally, and it got a little over 6 minutes, then 6 minutes, then a little over 5 minutes, then a little over 5 minutes again. So I wasn't sure whether this was just because it was vertical rather than, or horizontal rather than vertical. So I went back and ran it again horizontally, and it got about 9 minutes. So it was pretty obvious to me that I had toasted the bearing in this thing. I got one good spin out of it, and the bearing just didn't hold up. So even though this was a glued-in bearing or press fit, however it was very hard to get the bearing out. I went and changed the bearing, and it was really an ordeal to get the thing changed. But I did. I put a FC Essentials bearing in this one, the HC2 I think, and tested it again. Now it got vertical spins of a little over 13 minutes, horizontal spins between 11 and a half and 13 and a half minutes, so it was much more consistent. Still very long spinner. 13 minutes is not bad. 20 minutes would have been nicer, because that was really impressive. I've never gotten one that long before, but it didn't hold up. So anyway, I did do the full testing with the original bearing that was fried, and it got a terrible score that way because we had the huge variability, anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes, and the variability in my scoring system knocks the score down. It only got a score of 2.89, which qualifies as junk, which, you know, it's not a junk spinner, but it had a junk bearing in it at the time, so that's pretty appropriate, I would say. It just had a toasted bearing, so it scored badly, and scored very badly. With the FC Essentials bearing in it, which it got through a full testing without the bearing going bad, it got a score of, it got an average spin time of 13 minutes and 6 seconds, and it got a score of 8.4, which qualifies it as a superior spinner. So it got a more appropriate score with the bearing that held up and didn't fall apart. So that's what we got with that. Now on appearance, I gave this a 7.5. The appearance is not anything really special. It's a good looking spinner. It's not really fantastic. Feel is the interesting thing with this one. Of course, having a very heavyweight spinner like this is going to have an effect on the feel. And it does. It's a little bit, I think I would put it like, you got to really focus on what you're doing to fidget this thing. It's not the most easily or readily fidgetable spinner there is, and I think it's mostly just due to the weight of it. So you can flick it. It doesn't go very fast when you flick it because it's so heavy. And you can pull it, and you can do your top spins and all this, which I'm not very good at. But the feel, it's a little bit clunky because of it's so heavy. And I gave it a feel score of 7.5. On perceived quality, I gave it an 8.5 because it does seem like a very high quality spinner. It was well balanced, and the only thing I don't like about it is that it had a bearing that was very difficult to get out. It wasn't made to get out. I don't like that kind of spinner because it's you want to change the bearings, and if you get a bearing that gets toasted, you want to be able to change it. So that's just all the tungsten ones seem to be that way. There must be something about the manufacturing process that makes it difficult to put the mechanism for unscrewing the bearing difficult with tungsten. If someone knows what the issue is, I'd appreciate them telling me, because I don't know what it is. So I weighed it again. It got 100. I weighted it at 161 grams. They advertised it as 165 to 170, so it wasn't too far off. Can't remember where I got this. I think I ordered it off of eBay from somebody, so I don't know what I paid for it, but I think it was around $120 when they were selling them. So you could, if you pick up one off the secondary market, that would be the way to do it. Don't know how many they made, but I got number 3 here, which was kind of ashamed that I had to change the bearing in it, but I'm thinking about going back and putting a Fidget HQ bearing back in this one. But for now, I'm going to keep the FC Essentials bearing in it. So that's it. A very heavy tungsten spinner, and they say on their website this was it's a 97% tungsten alloy this is made of, and that's probably why it's so heavy in such a small package. So that's that one. With a bearing that's going to hold up, it got a superior score, and it did spin long. 13 minutes is not a short spin time. So there we go, the Zenduo Evo by Fidget HQ in tungsten.